Hello and welcome to Truth Be Known. I'm so glad that you have joined us today. We're going to be doing a series on the family. And today we're going to be talking about children. And I don't have any notes. So this is going to be off the top of my head. So we're going to go with the flow today because, this is something I've been wanting to talk about. And I just haven't done this because we have had so many other topics to talk about. So, and then I'm going back to find my notes on what I've written and I can't find a thing. So we're just going to go with the flow. Also, in this series, we will be talking about marriage and we may be talking about the whole family. I don't know. I just kind of feel like that we're going to do a 2-part session in these podcasts, and this is about children today. So children, wow. We love children. They are just so precious. I love my grandbabies. I just love them. They're so much fun to be around and stuff. And I love my own children and thank the Lord for them because, they're great kids. I have 2 grown children, and my daughter and her husband have 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl, and expecting a little girl in October. And that's so exciting to have another grandbaby coming on the way. And my son and his wife have 2 little boys. And so we have a wonderful, good family. And that's awesome to have children. And children are a blessing. But there are some things as a young mother or young father that when you are starting out your family, boy, it's hard. It really is. You go through some things and you're like, how in the world did other people do this? Or why are they not stressed out? And, like my daughter having 3 babies. Wow, that's a lot of children, and you see a lot of families that have 3 children. That statistically, the 3.5 children, I don't know why they say that, like in a dog. That's the family these days. But that's great because it says in the Bible to go and multiply. But we have some issues with children, and it seems that parents are just wore out because they're not, I don't know, I guess they're not disciplining their children the way that they need to be disciplined. Let me just tell you about children for a minute. Well, even think back to yourself. I like boundaries. When I go places or when I do things, I like to know where we're going, what we're going to be doing there. I'm very good with familiar places. I get a little nervous when we go to a new restaurant or someplace I'm not familiar with because I don't know what to do. Basically, that's it. I don't know if I'm supposed to go seat myself at the restaurant, if I'm supposed to wait and they seat me or, and I always like good atmospheres because I get a little nervous in atmospheres that are just not the norm, like the loud music or something like that. Even when I am trying clothes on, I don't like the loud music while I'm trying on clothes. I don't know why. That's not what I'm there for, is to listen to the music, but boy, does it... It really overpowers what I'm doing, and sometimes I just can't stand it, and I have to leave and end up not buying anything. But I'm thinking of myself in this way. Well, what do you think a child, how are they going to feel? Are they going to feel the same issues that we feel as adults? Well, certainly. But the thing about adults is now you are in charge of the children. So most children, they know, they like boundaries. They like to know what to expect. One of the big things I've seen with children and issues with kids is they just don't know because their parents are going to tell them, I'm going to do this if you don't stop doing that. But then the parents continue to just get on to them. And let me tell you a little secret. My mother used to be that way. She didn't really spank my sister and I, but she would get so frustrated with us because she was going to tell us she'd spank us and then she wouldn't spank us. And so it was like we knew the boundary lines of how far we can push mom. And so as when I became a mother, I did not want that. I don't know. Maybe because I didn't feel safe in that kind of boundaries. I don't know. I mean, I knew that if I didn't be careful and do what I'm supposed to do, my dad's going to get his belt off and wear us out. I knew that. So I was very, very, more overly cautious with him, and probably was even I don't know, maybe even scared at sometimes because I knew what would happen. So basically, I just knew how to control my mother. But, kids do that. They know how to do that. They know how to push the buttons. They know how far that they can go without getting in trouble. As a parent, that's very, very frustrating. And I've told both of my children, they do not listen to what I'm telling them, but I am telling them, and this is the easiest way. And I tell you, I was so frustrated with my children because they wouldn't listen to me. And this was like they were younger, 2 and 4 maybe. And I got a hold of this book, and it was talking about the spoon, using the spoon, or using not just a spoon. A spoon really stings. And so I knew if I use that for punishment on their buttocks, you don't use it on their hands, their face, nothing else. I have probably used it on their thigh, but you only use it on their buttocks, which helps. But I felt like if they had consequences, that then these issues that come up all the time would stop happening. And so I was pretty harsh with my kids on this kind of thing. And basically it's just a 1, 2, 3 system. And it tells you, hey, I'm going to tell you if I need you to do something, or if you're in trouble, if you're fighting with your brother or sister, I'm going to tell you, stop fighting. Now, let me stop here and tell you, children are very, they don't like long instructions. You can't give a 4-year-old, you can't tell him, say, I want you to go in the bathroom and take out the trash and make sure you get this and do that. You cannot do that. A 4-year-old cannot. And you might think, oh, my child is so smart that he can do all this. But I'm going to tell you, when he gets in there to do that first thing, he's going to forget what he's in there for. Come on, people. Be serious. Be real with yourself, because moi is the same way. I'm going to a room and I'm looking for something, but I don't even remember what it is. So you expect a 4-year-old to go and do all this stuff that you wanted him to do, and then you're frustrating yourself because they're not doing it because they can't handle such long instructions. A 4-year-old, probably you can say, go outside, feed the dog. Well, they can do that. They can go outside, they can feed the dog. Just don't give them big, long instructions. And you don't have to be wordy. Kids do not. Oh, the wordy. Oh, my goodness. Don't be wordy. Just tell them what you want. Set boundaries. Sit them down and say, I'm going to tell you one thing. The first thing I say, you do it. If you're fighting with your brother or sister and I tell you to stop, then you stop doing it. Whatever I tell you, that is your first time and your first warning. The second time I tell you, I'm only going to tell you 3 times. And some parents might say, 3 times? You're giving them 3 times? Yes, I am. Because they're children. They're not adults, and they are children, and sometimes they don't listen. And let me tell you, sometimes adults don't listen. People do not get what they don't want to get. But this is an easy system for children for discipline. Okay, so you set them down, you say, I'm going to tell you one thing the first time. The second time, I'm going to tell you 2 times. But the second time, I'm going to not say it again. I'm going to say 2. And then they know what you're talking about because you are very specific the first time. You're not wordy. You're telling them what you want. And on this also, you cannot just tell them 5,000 things at one time. Well, if you don't stop doing this, then you're going to, no. They're going to keep doing it because they know that you're going to just do whatever you're going to do later. And so tell them one time, I said to stop. Second time, 2. And then if they don't stop, the third time, spank them. You have to spank them. So many parents just give the timeout. Timeouts are fine. But let me tell you what I've seen in the timeouts is they're going to get up and do whatever they're going to do. And then you're, as a parent, are going to say, I thought I told you you have a timeout. I am telling you it's so frustrating for parents to do this because they continue to do this and then they get frustrated. And I'm going to tell you why it tells us in the Bible to discipline our children. It doesn't say you're going to spoil the child if you don't use the rod. It says you have to use the rod or you will spoil the child. And it's not that you don't want your child spoiled. You want your child to feel loved. And by disciplining your children, you are making them feel loved. They have boundaries. I have no issues whatsoever with my grandkids when they stay with me because they know what to expect. However, if their parents are here, that's not going to be the same thing because I'm going to let their parents do the discipline. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be a grandma and I'm going to have fun with my kids, and I might be frustrated because they're not minding their mom or their dad, but I have my own boundaries too, and so I have to step back and let them take charge. However, I promise you parents, this is the easiest thing in the whole world. And the kids will know what to expect. They know number 3 means I'm going to get spanked. Or number 3 means I'm going to have a timeout. But I promise you, timeouts don't work. They just don't. Just spank them. You only have to do it one time. Here's what's going to happen, though. And I've done the same thing. I mean, it took me a long time to do this and to learn this. But it really, really helps your frustration level. But what happens with parents is they're busy and they don't want to take the time to stop and say, I told you stop it. And then the child does it again. What did I just tell you? Well, don't ask that question because the child will say, I don't know. Don't ask the question. Then you're frustrating yourself. Then you can just say 2 and they'll know. I mean, you have to set this up real good and you have to follow through with when you're setting this up. But as parents, I'm going to tell you, now I told you not to do that. Now, did I not tell you not to do that? Now, what are you going to, do you want a spanking? I've done it. I know, it's so funny. Well, shoot, yeah, I want a spanking. That's why I keep doing it and disobeying you. And then you don't give them a spanking anyways because I don't know why. But the parent ends up frustrated and the child ends up, I got my way. But that is not teaching the children anything. The children is learning when they have boundaries and they know that this place is a safe place for them. They know if you get to 3, that I promise you they're going to stop doing what they're doing once they have learned, she's going to actually spank my hiney. I tell you what, I have a granddaughter that has gotten spanked. I used to watch her often. So she knows, Mimi is being serious now. Now I haven't got to watch my grandsons, as often. So they don't, I don't know. I feel like they mind me pretty much, but they've not really gotten the spoon per se. But my granddaughter is 8 years old and I put that spoon out. She knows what that means and she backs off. Because they have boundaries, they know, they feel loved, they feel disciplined, and as a parent, you are not frustrated. It just helps everybody, and it makes your family joyful because the kids know what to expect from mom and dad. They're not just going day by day and doing their own thing, and, let kids be kids, but be the parent of them. And sometimes children, all kids have different personalities and they all need certain things. So I see often too where you're asking your child, where do you want to eat? And now if they're older, that's fine, I think. But when you're 2 or 3 or 4, you don't have a clue where you want to eat. You don't even know what toy you want to play with during that day. They don't need to have that pressure put on them. They need for you to be the parent and to say, we're going to eat this today, or we're going to do this today, because they have their own issues and their own problems, and they need to feel safe. And if mom don't know, or if dad don't know what's going on, how am I as a 4-year-old supposed to know what's going on? And so we have all these little kids that are feeling unsafe. They don't have boundaries. And let me tell you, this is why school is so amazing for these kids, because they go to school, they have structure, they know what to expect, they get in trouble, the teacher does what she says she's going to do, and then they come home and they're little hoodlums, because they don't have that same structure and that same boundaries. They just don't know what to expect at home, because, mom lets them get away with things, or dad lets them get away with things. And I tell you what, some of the reasons is because of phones and computers, and we're just so busy. We're so busy with other stuff, and it's kind of, I don't know, think of it as yourself. If I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my husband, and if he's looking at his phone and he's not paying attention, what do I feel? How does that make me feel? Does it make me feel loved or unloved? You can do the same scenario with your children. How does that make them feel when you're sitting on your phone and you're so busy with your phone and stuff there that you're not paying them attention, and you're not answering their question, or you're not, whatever it is? You don't have to give them full attention every single day, because they're life. You've got to do life, and life is doing the dishes and cleaning the house and going to work and whatever you have to do. But what I'm saying is, when there is something that a child truly wants to tell you, and, even if it's, hey, mom, my shoes are brown, or hey, mom, have you seen this or that? Stop what you're doing and pay attention. Because someday you're going to say, what happened to my child? Why is he not listening, or why is he not communicating with me? Because all of those years he didn't know that he was supposed to, because you were busy doing your own thing. But pay attention, because whatever you're frustrated at with your child, they are probably frustrated with you as an adult, because they want to feel safe, and feeling safe is having discipline, is knowing what they are expected of them. And so they need that. They need boundaries. They need bedtimes. They need to make sure they have all these things that they've got to do, especially going to school. You got to have a go to bed earlier, or get up earlier, or whatever it is. But when kids have those boundaries or have those expectations, and they know what they are, you'll see that your child will be different. And if you follow through with what you tell them, if you say, when I count to 3, if I have to get to 3, you're going to get spanked. Or, when they get older, you can take things away from them. You're not going to play your games for a week, and don't let it be just for the day. That's not much of a discipline, I don't think. If they are into playing games and stuff, you make sure that it's more than it's going to hurt. That's the whole part of discipline. If it doesn't hurt them, they're going to do it again. But when they know something is not right, and this hurts me and I don't like it, then they will not want to fight back or do what it is in the first place to do that, to get in trouble. But as parents, it's very, very important to make sure that you go through with what you said. Because if you start saying things and then they are like, I don't think so. And then you keep asking questions. Are you going to do that again? Yeah, he's going to do it again. I don't blame him. I do it again. And then they never get spanked at the end. Here, that's the end result. They don't get spanked. And so, yeah, they're going to do it again. And you're going to be frustrated. And it's going to be a long, long, long life for you. Because if children do not get this at an early age, I tell you what, when they're teenagers, they sure won't get it. And they're going to fight back if you are going to try to discipline them then. So the younger the better. And I promise you, a child is born with rebellion, and you have to get that rebellion out of them. And how to get that out is by using the rod, or you're going to spoil the child. And you've seen spoiled children, And you don't want to be around those spoiled children because they throw temper tantrums and they want their way. And even as adults, if they're spoiled children, they're whiny babies when they get older, and people don't like to be around that because they want their attention and they want their own way. Just remember that. Well, this is kind of a harsh podcast, and I don't mean to be harsh or nothing. I like to be around children that are nice, well-behaved children. And I wanted my children to be nice and well-behaved, and I hope that they were. And I hope if you're around them when they were babies and little and teenagers that they were. And I apologize for when they got a little older. But anyways, I can't say it's them. It always falls back to the parent. As a parent, sorry for anything that may have happened. Anyways, so I want to encourage you today to set boundaries for your children. And make sure that you tell them the short instructions, and make sure that you have disciplinary actions in, progress. In something where they know, hey, I'm going to get spanked, or hey, I'm not going to get to play my game, whatever it may be. But, you might have to try both of those out, because sometimes maybe if the kid gets a toy taken away, that may not have as much impact as a spanking. And I'm not talking about beating your children, but let me tell you, I was going to go back to this other thing. In parenting, you get onto your children, and you get on your children, and you get on your children, and you get frustrated, and then you just react out of anger instead of reacting out of love. And love, to begin with, is disciplining your children, letting them know what is expected of them, and following through with what you said they will get if they don't mind you. So, make sure it goes in that order, or you will be frustrated as a parent, and you will discipline your children the way that you don't intend to, because you're upset, because you're mad at them, because they won't listen. And you could have just eliminated all of that in the beginning if you would have already had the boundaries set, the expectations set, the discipline set, and they know what to expect as your child. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. This is truth, and I'm telling you the truth, and I've had to live truth, because you'll always find the truth here, because this is Truth Be Known.